Hi, yeah, it's Jackie here in the LGFA, and we're on a Zoom call again today, and we're back down memory lane for a little trot with two former All-Stars. I'm delighted to say on the top left-hand side of my screen is Edel Hanley from Tipperary, and bottom of my screen is Aileen Pyers from the county of Down. Ladies, how are we today?
Good, Jackie, thanks. Yeah.
Good.
Good. The sun is shining outside, so that's always a good sign. We've been through some tough times recently, but there does seem to be a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel in reality and metaphorically, I guess, as well. But great to have you on board, ladies, and thanks for taking time out today. Aileen, I'm going to kick off with your good self. So obviously the highlight of your career, would it be winning an All-Star in 2014, or would it be winning that All-Ireland title in 2014, or is there something else that springs to mind for you?
I think I've been actually very fortunate in my career throughout, but I think if you go from what your memories are or your childhood memories would be, it would always be winning All Ireland and playing in Croke Park. It never really would have been, the personal accolades. So I'm going to say winning the All Ireland with the team that we won with in 2014 was probably my highlight. Yeah.
And what was it like to play?
Are always nice.
What was it like to play against a fellow Ulster team? Was there something? I mean, and the same applies to Edel with Tipperary and playing against a team from the same province. Is there more pressure, less pressure? That familiarity. What's the dynamic going into a game like that?
Yeah, I think first and foremost it was an All Ireland final, and we didn't really want to go there and let the occasion get the better of us. Playing a fellow Ulster team that we'd actually played 2 or 3 times previous that year was a little bit of added pressure, because we didn't want to be the team that possibly beat them in the league or in the Ulster Provincial Championship, and then let them beat us in probably what was the biggest prize of all. So I think maybe that's why in the lead up to the All Ireland final itself, the amount of training and preparation that went into that one game, I think it really justified the result in the end. And we really were relentless in our preparation and in our intensity that we brought to the game that day. So I think that's credit to all the girls and the management for actually getting our mindset right, and making sure that we didn't leave any stone unturned in order to perform and get what we are just reward on the day for all the effort that actually had went into that year. So by playing Fermanagh again, probably we would have took maybe Leitrim in the final rather than in the quarterfinal or the semi-final. Semi-final it was. Probably just for a change of team, or maybe a change of headspace, that we didn't really know that much about them, and that we didn't have to sort of have that panic button mode to hit, because we'd obviously played them previous in the year and knew what they were capable of.
Is there a lot of stuff resonating for you, Edel, when Aileen's talking there? The familiarity thing with, obviously back in 2008 it was Clare, a fellow Munster team.
Yeah, I suppose, Jackie, we played Clare 3 times that year. We played them in the Munster finals, and they beat us overwhelmingly that day. We were second to everything that day, second to the ball, and we were missing Angie McDermott on the day. She was on honeymoon, I think, but we played them then in the round robin series in Bancha. Got a bit closer, but again they beat us on the night. But I suppose, like Aileen was saying, the biggest prize of all that year was the All Ireland. We knew each other really well. Clare were a phenomenal team at the time, so fit and determined and physical as well. But I don't know, I just think it was written in the stars that year. We had a brilliant management team. We had a really strong panel, I think we had a settled team, but we also had people that were pushing really hard for places. And I think everything just went right for us on the day, in the All Ireland final. And it was tough on Clare. I suppose it's tough to lose in All Ireland. We lost one actually in 2013 as well, but to win one is just amazing. And it's a day I don't think any of there was 32 girls, I think, on the panel that day. We'll never forget it,
And to cap it off then, to win an All-Star.
Yeah, that was, I suppose, I don't know, me personally, I don't even have the All-Star in the house here. It's in my parents' house, but that All-Star doesn't belong to me, Jackie. I think that belongs to the panel, the management team. I suppose that day I scored 10 points, but 7 of those were frees, and you know, it's the players, the players and the panel, they made the effort, you know, they got the frees, they won the frees, I suppose, it was easy to kick them, you know, they were all within a decent range, but yeah, it was lovely. I mean, I'm very proud of it, and I look back on it, you know, and I'm sure in years to come, you know, I look back on it, but I just think that belongs to the team, really, you know. I mean, I was just lucky on the night my name was announced, but yeah, I just think that All-Star was because of, you know, the team that played for Tip that year, you know, the panel, the management team, you know, so many people made that happen, not just me, you know. And I suppose it's only with the benefit now of hindsight, you know, I'm retired now, that I realize, you know, I suppose how much everyone put into it, you know, and what it took to win that game. I mean, that wasn't just 1 year's worth of football. That was years in the making, you know, and I suppose there was a lot of girls that didn't get to take to the field that day and never got to play in the All-Ireland. You know, there was players like Patrice Ryan, Libby Grogan, you know, that put in massive effort into Tip Ladies football, and they're just two. I could mention loads of names. So I suppose, you know, I feel very lucky and very privileged to have experienced that day and to have had the career, you know, similar to Aileen that I've had.
And guys, your paths crossed as well in 2009 in a National League final. What are your memories of that, Aileen? You scored 6 points on the day at 2 frees and finished on the winning side. Edel, you scored 5 points and 4 frees and unfortunately ended up as a runner-up. But Aileen, what do you remember of that game and of playing against a player of Edel's calibre as well? And were you aware of the threat that obviously Edel and could pose to you before the game?
Yeah, I think her name popped up a few times in the weeks leading up to that league final. I suppose that year in particular, especially from playing with the county for so long up to that, you know, 8 years previous to that. That year we'd brought in Paul McShane and Sean O'Hare, who was a new management team, and they really were really, you know, forward thinkers when it came to preparation and strength and condition and training, and it started to change the whole mindset and behaviour of the players that had been there in previous. So the year was going really well, and you know, we'd made really good progress in the league, and again, when it came to playing in the league final, it was probably for a lot of us the first final that we had ever played in. You know, when you come from County Down, you don't get to play in many finals, so when they come around, we like to try and give the best that we can give. Where was that game actually? Was that down in, where was the game played in? I just remember we stopped over, went down the night before, prepared really well. We knew it was going to be a real physical game, so it was kind of nip and tuck, very close the whole way through. And then from what I can remember, and I say I haven't really thought much about it since, but I was just delighted that the whistle blew and we had sort of scraped over the line, a couple of points on it or something like that. But I just remember just pure relief after the final whistle, and that we had got on the side that we wanted to, which was coming away with the win.
Edel, do you remember where it was? Because it escapes me at the moment. I'm sure I was there.
Yeah, I think it was up in Roscommon, Jackie, or somewhere,
right.
Yeah, somewhere like that. Anyway, I just remember Mairead Morrissey had communion that morning and had to whisk it up to, it was somewhere up the country anyway. So
yeah.
Obviously a disappointing day from a Tip point of view, Edel.
Yeah, I suppose I personally had a bad game that day. You know, when I look back on it, you know, I was disappointed. You know, but yeah, it was nip and tuck. I think Aileen, you might have had a tactic where from the throw-in you just went for a goal, and we were aware of this going into it. We played you in the league, and that's what you did, and you did it again that day. You know, ball thrown in, and next thing back at the net. You know, so and like we'd worked on that in the lead up to the game. But anyway, look. It happened again.
Yeah, it's crazy, really. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. You could try it 9 times out of 10, but thankfully it worked that day. And I think
was that the tactic, Aileen, to get off to that lightning start? Yeah,
absolutely. Like, I mean, tactic was kill Downey in midfield or else full forward and get the ball in early and try and catch them on the bounce, you know. So obviously when you get a goal, it settles a lot of people early on. So we were just very fortunate that day that it turned out, you know. 9 times out of 10 I could hit the corner flag, but it went that right that day.
And when you consider, you know, 2009, that you're playing in a Division 2 final, both counties. Now I know Tipperary are Division 1 team now, Edel, but it just shows where down we're at the time, Aileen. Really competitive and mixing it with some of the best, very best in the country.
Yeah, unbelievably so. And like funny, after the 2014 All Ireland, you know, a lot of the older girls that maybe would have played in that 2009 team as well, you know, we often look back, and that's probably why we're even more grateful for hanging in there and, you know, getting the chance to play in Croke Park and winning the Intermediate All Ireland, because we always said that there was, you know, as good of players, even maybe better players that played in the 2009 team. You know, you're talking about the Kerry O'Neills, the Hearns, you know, the Keela Downies, the Evening Downies, you know, Sinead Murphy. I could name a whole list of players that actually have, you know, really dedicated their whole life to the county, the scene, and put in a huge effort right up to that, and never got the chance to play or never got the chance to win. And when we look back in 2009, 2010, you know, we were competing in senior championships at the time, and I remember in Parky Esler and Uri, we played Tyrone at the time, who were recognised and winning Ulster titles. We pushed them fairly close.
And they went to a final that year, a senior final.
And they went to the final, yeah. So, you know, we were like definitely high in competing there at senior level, and we were very proud of that Division 2. You know, probably if you look back, we've a lot of work to do, you know, probably to get up to that standard or Division 2 at the minute, you know, just because we're obviously in the rebuilding phase and the girls are doing really well over the last couple of years with the new management and stuff. So I suppose it's hard whenever you do win an All Ireland. Some teams, you know, tend to lose a lot of players all at the one time, which leads to a bigger gap to bridge. But younger girls are actually doing really well and they're really enjoying it again. So that there's one of the best platforms in order to build on success for the future. Yeah,
I think from the outside looking in, there does seem to be green shoots there, Aileen.
Yeah, very much so, because even towards the latter years of me playing, like the current captain that I just seen on Facebook, Alicia Duffy, like she was only like barely coming out of under 16s, and now she's the actual captain, you know, so it's not that long ago really, you know, so she's still a very young captain, and there's probably only about one or two players that played in the 2014 team that's still there playing, you know, so very, very young team. But sometimes that's good, because the younger they are and then the more they get to play together, it's sort of they come along together each year, rather than, you know, a number of players dropping off each time and then having bigger holes to fill, you know.
Edel, do you still keep an eye on the progress of the Tip team? Obviously quite unfortunate in the championship last year, losing 2 games by a point to Galway and Monaghan. So they're a competitive outfit, a very competitive outfit now.
Oh yeah, like I was so impressed with them this year, you know. They've got, I suppose, a few like unbelievable players, you know, in Aisling Maloney, and you know, I suppose, you know, they were outstanding against Galway, and so unlucky on the night, you know, and against Monaghan as well. So I suppose Jackie, where I started off, you know, in 1997 to where it is now. I mean, the work that it has taken to get it to that point, you know, and so many people are behind that, you know, county board and you know, coaches, you know, schools and all that. There's a massive drive in Tipperary to increase, I suppose, you know, ladies football, and it's really coming to fruition now, I think, you know. Like they are very competitive, and you know, I would think if they stay going, like they put a lot of emphasis on development squads, you know, under 14s, under 16s, and it's really, you know, showing on the pitch now, you know, at senior level. You know, they're not just I suppose fulfilling fixtures, they're competing, you know, and there was only a kick of the ball in it this year, you know. They could have been in an All-Ireland semi-final very easily this year, so hopefully they can continue and kick on. And Declan Carr now is the new manager, and he's got a good team in place. So I mean, there's tremendous talent, you know, and all the clubs you know, are buying into that. So I know the club county final in Tipperary last year between Arlo and Clare, I mean, the standard was just
phenomenal game.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game. So look, it all bodes well for the future, and like I'd be hoping that Tip could maybe win a senior Munster title. Hopefully, you'll always have, you know, Cork and Kerry. I mean, they've been phenomenal and fantastic, but hopefully Tip can, you know, push on now and you know, win a senior title. That's certainly where I see in the future for Tip.
Well, you mentioned 1997. That was your debut 24 years ago now. It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, so you were there for the guts of 2 decades, effectively, as an inter-county player.
Yeah, I suppose I was. I suppose when we first started out, I was a teenager. I remember doing my leaving cert, and we'd be traveling the country for National League games. And I used to bring the books, and we used to go on, on the bus, and I bring my books for a spin. It wasn't that I did any study. Put me on the top rack of the bus, but like there were great times, Jackie, and like there was great players there as well that time. I mean, Jesus, some of the best players that ever played for Tip were playing that time as well. And it just it took off, and it took a lot of work from it came from the players, it came from coaches, it came from the county board. And to see how it's evolved and the way the game has evolved, and it's just brilliant. I mean, I can't get over, I suppose, how much it has improved. But they were great days, Jackie. I enjoyed them immensely. And great people, great characters. And not just in Tip now, but in every county. There's a character in every county that you'd and do you know what, we built up great relationships with other counties, and like Aileen mentioned, Michaela Downey and Aileen Downey. I played with them actually in 2001. I went to San Francisco and played for a summer over there, and the two girls were there. Like, talk about talent, they were just amazing players. Like, so I was well familiar with the two Downeys before the 2009 league final. So they were hugely talented.
So they had a bit of homework done on you, and you had a bit of homework done on them from years back. It's incredible. It's just like one big family or organisation. In 2001 was when you burst onto the scene, which was good times as well had just occurred for Down at that time as well.
Yeah, I mean, winning the Junior All-Ireland was a massive thing in the county, obviously, at the time. I remember, it's funny, one of my best friends had we went to the homecoming for the Down ladies in 2000. We were looking up, I don't even know what age we would have been, like, really young anyway, by going by the photo. I don't have as many grades back then. And then she put the same photo up, and with her wee fella at the 2014 homecoming, and just saying, like, what a difference. We went to watch the ladies coming in the first homecoming, and now she's going with her son to watch myself and the rest of the Down ladies coming in our homecoming. So, and every time that memory comes up, it is really, really special. In fact, I'm sure, Edel, you get the same, where every time the September comes up and the memories flash up on Facebook, or somebody tags you in it, you can't help but sort of just take a minute to pause and smile and reminisce, but then move on swiftly, not whatever else. But yeah, so from 2001, that we obviously went through a bit of a doldrum years. We hadn't much success at that year, just literally because the same sort of incident happened, where a lot of the girls have put in a serious shift up until 2000, until they won the junior championship, and then a lot of retirements happened and new management taking over and stuff. And I was really, really young, but of course keen as mustard, and just thought this was like the best thing ever to happen, to be asked to go on to the senior panel. And I remember Jackie Clark at the time, she was the captain, and she stayed on for the next year, and just being in complete awe of all these players. Like, I remember like loving to do the bleep test. I soon came out of that as well as the years went on, but I mean, just mad to get going, maybe ready from 4 o'clock in the evening to go to training. And I suppose it probably was one of those things where you went through your whole childhood wanting to play for your county senior team, because you watched one repeat, the best of 94 were Down men won the All-Ireland, and then you spent the summers playing in the garden with your brother or something, so for you actually to get the call up and to go, even though just like I was shaking my head in agreement there with Edel, saying how things have changed in regards to facilities, the training itself, the skill level of the players, the fitness levels. It's just literally like a completely different game now. And I suppose like the Women's GPA and the county boards and the Ladies Gaelic Football Association have a lot to be congratulated on there, because like even players getting fed now, or even travel expenses, is something that we personally never got for years. I'm sure you were the same, but it's great, and it's only right that is the way it should be, because a lot of time and energy and money goes into people actually giving up their time to go and participate and play for their county. So it's only about right that they actually get the same respect as male counterparts do.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I talk to you both about, before I move on a little bit, I want to mention your clubmate, Aileen, Eliza Downey, who picked you in, I think she picked an all-time team last year, and you were in there at number 15. So look, you're obviously, there was no money exchanged in that.
Absolutely not. I didn't even realize that she was doing it, or I didn't even see it. One of my friends from college, she's actually from Derry, she had actually tagged me on it, and her daddy actually left her up the paper, like, it's quite funny. But yeah, I know Eliza and me have been around the block a few times. Funny, just like, she's from about 5 or 10 minutes away from where I live, but we went to 2 different primary schools, and we first met on a school trip to Scotland, and I had said to her about playing for our club, and she came down, and like, we've been best friends ever since.
That's
so
incredible.
We both started playing seniors. I was 10 and Eliza was 11, so we've been around the block a long time.
When you see something like that, and she picks you on a team of just absolutely phenomenal footballers, including yourself, how does that make you feel, or how did it make you feel?
I kind of take it with a pinch of salt, if I'm being completely honest. Yes, don't get me wrong, it's great to be picked and things like that there, and especially for, like someone that you've played along with and soldiered along with for 20 years, that had, like, reading that they have that respect for you and stuff. But again, it's just, I suppose, a matter of opinion. People's opinion might change. They might think somebody else was a better player, or they might, have picked somebody else. But I don't really pay much attention, to be honest with you, because, I did look at the Irish news every weekly and after that, and just to see who everybody else had picked. And I suppose it's nice, it's a novelty for a day or a couple of days, and then you move on. I don't really get too carried away with things like that. It's, to be honest with you, I'd much prefer to be taking our wee under 14s in the club away from all that kind of stuff. I'm just happy enough to be in the background.
Okay. Edel, you've been a member of An Garda Síochána for coming up on 18 years now, I think. How has life been for you? You're a mum as well. In recent times with COVID and effectively being a frontliner, how have things changed? How has your life adapted? How have you adapted?
Yeah, so I suppose, like everyone, Jackie, COVID has been a challenge. I'm an instructor in Templemore since 2014. And I love that job, I really enjoy it. But last March we were redeployed from the college out to the front line. We ended up in a place called Clare in Offaly, in the community. And you know what, that was really enjoyable as well. And I suppose, everyone is suffering, Jackie, with COVID. We're not seeing family. And I suppose we've been lucky enough in ways, to be working, because there's so many people that aren't working and have lost their jobs. And I suppose I just feel really lucky to be still working. I'm back in the college now, and back teaching the students again. So I'm grateful for that. But I suppose when I was redeployed onto the front line, like, you'd be meeting people at checkpoints, and I remember meeting nurses going to work, and there was tears in their eyes, going into to work night shifts and stuff. So, we didn't have it as bad as they had. The admiration I have for them is just unbelievable. People in hospitals, at the cold face of COVID, and they're seeing, the impact. So look, it has been a challenge. There's no point saying otherwise. I suppose, I'm living in Offaly now, and I haven't seen my parents since Christmas Day. But like, there's so many people like that, so I think, everyone's making a sacrifice, and hopefully we'll come out the other end of it, when it's done and dusted, hopefully.
How are they, mum and dad?
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're good. They're just, I suppose, they're frightened of COVID, and like so many others, but yeah, they're good. And sure, I suppose technology is great. Like, here's the three of us having a conversation here on an afternoon, and it's like we're sitting in front of each other, so like, they FaceTime, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they're lively to say the least. But you know, I feel sorry for them that they're not, you know, able to see them and spend time with them like grandparents should be able to do. But you know, look, there's people worse off, you know, and you have to see the positives.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great though, Edel, and please God, we come out the other side of this, that we have those days to look forward to, where, you know, my three little fellas can just run into their granny and granddad and just give them big hugs. You know, that's going to be very special.
Yeah, do you know what? I think we all kind of maybe will evaluate what's important maybe at the end of it all. You know, and it's you know, human touch and being able to hug your parents, things that we all just took for granted that we can't do at the moment, you know. So I suppose I'm definitely looking forward to when we can travel freely and, you know, have those times back again. And do you know what? Get back going to matches and, you know, getting onto the sideline and being able to do that as well. I think that's, you know, that's going to be lovely and something I'm really looking forward to. And bringing the kids to, you know, they're at an age now where they could go to games. So bringing them to see, you know, Tip ladies football playing matches, you know, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, here. Aileen, how's life been for you? Because you're a senior lecturer, correct?
Yeah, I'm a sports lecturer at the Southern Regional College. Life has been tough enough as well, you know, regard for teachers, because we've still had to teach online and, you know, try and still keep students, especially the vulnerable students, engaged, and still get through our scheme of work and still meet assessment schedules. So it has been difficult, I suppose, whenever you teach and you're, you know, interacting with people every day. You know, you definitely miss that human interaction that Edel and yourself had talked about there. Talking into a screen, maybe with students having their videos off, is a totally different ball game. And you know, even when we are in college, it is difficult in the fact that, you know, you're not allowed to socialise with other lecturers in case of spread, and you know, the canteen's closed, even the staff room hasn't got a kettle or a fridge, so you're very much on your own, you're very much isolated, you know. So it definitely has changed the whole dynamics of the teaching sector as well. But listen, you know, you have to do what you have to do in order to get through it, and there's people that's a lot worse off than what we are, you know. So
yeah, and I think we have to remember that too.
Yeah.
And at times, you know, when we maybe get on the pity pot and we can't do this and we can't do that, you know, we can do a lot of things that I'm sure a lot of people can't do as well. So it's a good message. Aileen, here's one for you. What have you learned about yourself? You know, because I've learned that probably my tolerance levels are a little bit lower than what I thought they were.
You mean learned of myself through COVID?
Yeah, just in general, you know, because I think we've had to learn new coping mechanisms. We probably had to get a little bit more patient. I've probably gone the other way, to be
honest. I probably have got more patient. I used to be, you know, I used to have very, very little patience. And then I actually watched a documentary, you're going to laugh at this, but Tottenham Hotspur and Jose Mourinho.
I looked at it all, every episode,
Brilliant. I was totally hooked, and I thought I liked Jose, but now I love him, and he never loses the plot, and I thought he would. So I've tried to say, what would Jose do in this situation? And I don't lose the plot anymore as much with any of the students or anyone really. I'm just very relaxed, and I try to just be like, it's grand, let it go. So yeah, I would say I've got more patience, to be honest. Probably just like Edel and all that said, you know, I think I kind of reevaluated. You know, I used to live a very fast-paced life, you know, running from pillar to post and, you know, running out the door and maybe going weeks on end without seeing, you know, my family. And lockdown probably has reassessed that all for me. You know, I see my parents every single day now, and I actually really enjoy just spending time with my niece and two nephews and kicking football in the garden, or just, you know, just the simple things. You know, it doesn't have to be taking them away or spending a fortune on them at the casino or whatever, you know, the play parks. So just more or less just enjoying people's company and people's time more so than actually running out doing different things, you know.
Yeah, how is everybody? I mean, how is all the family, mum and dad? And
yeah, they're all really good. Funny, mum and dad have both got their vaccines now, so we're very lucky in that respect.
Great.
Dad he's just turned 83 there in January, and he's a massive football fan. And, you know, I suppose the lockdown is really it's been really hard on him too, because like his two main passions are football and farming, and obviously with the sales and stuff being curtailed to only buyers or sellers, that was probably one of his biggest social outlets. And then with the football, you know, not being on as well, he sort of misses that outlet as well. Now we did get to a couple of games last year, just keeping our distance and that, but he really is looking forward now just to, as I say, having all the family around more often, grandchildren, and getting back out and just enjoying his, his simple luxuries in life again. So I think, while we might complain that we have to do different things in regards to work, I think the older generation as well, that they're not into technology or they're not into mobile phones, they do just crave social interaction between people, so that's probably one of the things that he really misses out on as well. But apart from that, no, they're all good, thank God.
Brilliant. It's great that they're vaccinated now. They're a little bit ahead of us.
Yeah.
In the north, I think, Edel, there's a little bit of a quicker pace to what's happening up there, and hopefully we'll get there as well.
Yeah, hopefully, Jackie. Yeah, it's great. Like my sister got her vaccine. She would have been, in the vulnerable category, so she got it yesterday. So, I think there is, you're hearing of a few people getting the vaccine. So, please God, now it'll roll out a bit quicker, and we'll all get a vaccine. And life will hopefully return to some normality. But it's good, like it's encouraging to see, the older generation, because they're so isolated, and getting their vaccines, because it must be hard on them, because I suppose, I have, I'm at home here, I've my husband Shane and the kids, and, living in the house, but so many people are living on their own and they're so isolated, and I often think of them, how hard it is for them. They're used to, like your dad, Aileen, going to, mass, even simple things,
Yeah.
and like you take away that's a social outlet gone, so hopefully now, I think we're in a better place today maybe than we were yesterday, and if we can keep going like that, that'll be progress.
Yeah, great way. And we started there, and I think we'll finish there with the message of hope, and hopefully we'll be back to that sense of normality and that normal living soon. Ladies, I could chat to you all day, but I'm not going to take up any more of your time. It's been great having you on. Two former All-Stars and All-Ireland winners, Edel Hanley from Tipperary and Aileen Pyers from Down, my very, very special guest today. Ladies, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.